I get what you're saying. I completely 100% get what you're saying. I just want people to walk away from this video knowing, don't give your ancestors any goddamn processed foods. Give them some goddamn fruit.
Yeah.
And sentimentality does matter. If your big mama got her leg chopped off because she ate way too much sodium and deep fried lasagnas, I get it. Make her deep fried lasagna because that's what Big Mama wanted over there. But Big Mama can't really run to your problems and help you because Big Mama's weighed down by that heavy ass lasagna that you gave her. I'm just saying, if you're wondering why,
you just said a lot though, and I want.
If you want to know why you had a crazy ass experience with your ancestors, check the offerings that you gave them.
That's true.
That's okay.
But I want to back up because you said a lot, and I don't know that people caught that. He said, give your ancestors fruit. That was so important, you guys, because number one, fruit, even for us, as above, so below, fruit is a whole food. It's very good for you. It's nutritional, but also fruit is alive.
Mm-hmm.
It has so much ashe in it. It has so much life force in it. And it gives them a useful reservoir of energy to pull from almost immediately. And if you put fruit on your altar, you will be amazed at how it doesn't decay. I don't even want to use the word decay. Of how it changes on your altar.
It petrifies.
It petrifies. Yeah.
Like,
you could do an experiment and put a pear on your altar and a pear on your kitchen counter, and the one on your kitchen counter is going to be black and slimy and have fruit flies on it, and the one on your altar is going to just beautifully dry out.
It is. If you put
almost like a fossil.
Yeah, it will turn black versus like a banana will turn black and dry on your altar. If you leave it on your counter, it's gonna be, as you said, slimy. It's gonna ooze.
Yeah. So fruit is a really good offering. You want to think about things that are powerful, that have life force in them. A piece of fried chicken is probably not the best choice just because it's dead. It's dead and fried. It's gone through a whole lot. There's ashe in it. There's ashe in everything, but make offerings to your ancestors. That was really the point of what I was making. And for you babies, if you remember something sentimental that you want to give your ancestors because you want them to know that you love them and that you're thinking about them and you remember them, there's nothing wrong with that. I think what Quinn was trying to say is that it's probably not it may not be the best tool for the job.
I'm just saying, don't call me talking about your ancestors acting a fool and you giving them processed foods, fried chicken,
and 45.
I can't, somebody I was dating before left their grandmama some malt liquor, on their altar. I'm serious.
I have had ancestors ask me for beer, though.
I mean, that's understandable. Mm-hmm. Malt liquor, though?
Not malt liquor.
Not malt liquor, exactly. So yeah, I mean, be mindful of the offerings that you leave. It just has effects. I mean, every single thing that you do in this work has consequences. But one thing that I do want to talk about is how your ancestors will blindly support you, no matter what the polarity of your intentions are, good or bad. If you want your ancestors to attack somebody, take a photograph of the person that you want them to attack, get some raw meat, put the raw meat on top of the photo, and let your ancestors eat their asses.
Here you go.
So let's talk about polarity. The polarity of white candles. They negatively polarized or positively polarized, dark or light?
So that's not my language.
What's your language? Because that's the language of the people. What's your language? Give us your language.
Well, my language is that anything is possible and everything is necessary. That's really just how I feel about that. In the tradition that I practice, Ifa, there's the left hand and the right hand. There are 200 Orisha on the left and 200 Orisha on the right, and Eshu in the middle, who goes between. All forces have that polarity. Everything is possible, and everything is necessary. If you kill someone who's breaking into your house, that's one thing. But if you walk outside and just start shooting people, that's another. But at the end of the day, it's all murder, right?
people ain't gonna like what I got to say now.
But to answer your question about the white candle, I think the white candle, as we said in the beginning, will do whatever you tell it to do. I don't think that it's intrinsically good because it's white, like how we were taught in Christianity, you know, that white is good and black is bad, or whatever, you know, wash my soul white as snow. People freeze to death and die in the snow. So.
I mean, you know, the 401, like when you said the 400, 200 here, 200 there, Osun, Eshu in the middle, I was thinking of the 401 Loa and the similarities.
Yes.
Okay, but yeah, so in Haitian voodoo, it's not, I don't want to say it's definitely not a free for all. There are laws that operate, but there are no rules that govern what you do.
Yeah.
There are spiritual laws that operate, but no rules to govern what and
because
how you practice.
You really just have to get shit done.
Exactly. It's just...
You just get shit done. And
face the consequences when you die.
Mm-hmm.
But the goal is to be venerated. Regardless if you do bad shit or good shit, to be venerated by some people so that your ass don't reincarnate and have to face your karma. So build good character and do good to people, whether they look at it positively or negatively. To answer the question about, from my opinion about white candles, I'm a Scorpio, so I'm suspicious of everything. You know, I can't walk into somebody's house and just see like a random, like, it could have like smooth cherry vanilla on the candle. It could be bought from Walgreens, but I'm like, why are you burning this candle? What the fuck was this for? And I think that white candles are very deceptive. They because they can be anything that you want them to be. Mm-hmm. I don't think of them as inherently negative. I just think of them as deceptive. I think of them as very as like their intentions invisible. A dream deferred. With a white candle, a dream deferred. We're not gonna figure out what it was and what you did with it until it actually happens. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the stealthiness of the white candle makes it effective for magical rituals that other people will be observing, and they may be trying to, like, what's this for? What are you trying to do? Is this a love spell? Oh, I see white candles. I can't really figure this out. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think of I think of white candles in that way. You know, not so much like in terms of good or bad, but I just think like, you know, white candles can be deceptive. You know, they can be used for very positive intentions, but you might want to do a consultation on why the person burned one to make sure.
Which, you know, that's part of what I like about them, because I burn candles all the time.
White candles?
In my salon, yeah, I do. You know, and I actually have altars set up all over the place around me, in my home, in my office, in my salon, and people would not necessarily know that it was an altar, because of course everything that I do is beautifully executed. But if you have a white candle there burning, you know, with some pretty beautiful, you know, crystal in front of it, no one's going to stop and be like, what is that? What's going on? You know, because like you said, the white candle kind of has this benign effect on people. You know, I look at it, it's deceptive. It's just a candle. I don't know if it's scented or not. I don't know what it's doing, you know. Whereas if it were a big black candle or a green candle with all kind of shit glued to the glass, you know, that would have a different effect. So if you live with other people, or if you want to do work in your workplace or something like that, you know, a white candle that's another reason why you might want to use a white candle, because it's kind of stealthy.
And that's another reason why you want to wear all white when you're trying to fuck somebody up too, because they'll never see it coming. Because if you wear all black and you running towards me, I'm thinking that something's up. But if you're wearing all white, you might just be on the jog. And then the next thing I know, you come behind me and just sock me in the back of my head. That's a white candle.
Yeah.
That is a white candle. Okay, I want to take I want to take some questions.
Let's do it.
So, what questions do you all have for us? We're going to be looking at questions, but what questions do you all have for us? Okay. The ancestors don't care about the Oris. Go to produce, get cucumbers, whatever. Your prediction about an ROI for cannabis came to fruition. What if you have weak ancestors? How to follow your intuition, healing our bloodline. Do their ancestors like juice?
Do the ancestors like juice? Again, it goes back.
Talk to the camera.
Yes. Do the ancestors like juice? Again, it goes back to the life force. A fresh squeezed juice or a fresh juice from fresh fruit is going to be 100 times better than something from concentrate that you buy at Kroger.
Portia Moore, my ancestors are going to be mad at me right now because all I got is some chicken and beef oodles and noodles. Your ancestors are not going to be mad at you because the reason that you're eating those chicken, beef oodles and noodles
is because your ancestors are broke down and impoverished.
And you probably are dealing with that generational debt. Also, your ancestors probably eat those oodles and noodles and the same shit, and you're dealing with those generational tastes as well. Yeah. So I don't think they're going to be upset. Sentimentality matters. Sentimentality matters more than nutrition to your ancestors. Now, as far as their effectiveness, they may be in a food coma when you're trying to get them to do something for you. So mind you, the itis is real, okay, on this side and on that side. So don't be giving them cheeseburgers because they're gonna be eating good and falling asleep afterwards.
The thing that I want to say, Portia, is that, and to everybody really, what we have to understand is that most of us, children of the diaspora, descendants of the diaspora, our ancestors have had at least 400 years of not being fed, not being attended to, not being venerated. They are hungry. Yes, they're surviving. Yes, they make a way, and as above, so below. They're over there making it happen just like we're over here making it happen. But when we start to interact with them, we want that interaction to be mutually beneficial. You want to give your ancestors things that are going to be useful to them so that they can in turn be useful to you. And one of the symptoms of them being bankrupt and broke down is the fact that we don't have everything that we need in this life, that we are not blessed with overwhelming abundance. So if you open your cupboard and all you have is oodles of noodles, then to me that signals that you need to get on it, doggone it, and start feeding your ancestors so that they can feed you. And if you have to take your last and go buy a pear, an orange, and a banana and set it on your altar, do that and continue to do that, and do it with a prayer and ask for things to improve. Ask for your cupboards to be overflowing. Do that and see what happens, and then move on to the next thing. You cannot manifest a car if you can't manifest a can of tuna. I mean, let's just be realistic. And if your ancestors don't have what they need to be able to assist you in that, you can't ask your ancestors to assist you in building the house of your dreams, and you can't even, you get what I'm saying, you guys?
If your starting place is oodles of noodles, mm-hmm. your ending place in a year does not need to be oodles of noodles.
Right.
It is okay where you're starting from is okay.
It's okay.
Don't beat yourself down because where you're starting from, your ancestors already they put you in that position anyway to start from there. So if they didn't want oodles of noodles, they would have gone to college or established a business. They would have done something to
left a legacy of some kind, an
inheritance for you, ancestral treasury,
right?
For you to not be eating those. So give them some of those oodles of noodles, and then by next year, if you're following the regimen that we gave you, where you're asking for more as you give them more, you will be giving them a ribeye steak.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The emperor's black rice, things that are, and think about that too, you guys, when you're feeding the ancestors, you want to give them things that are special and valuable. Because those things tend to have a higher vibration. For example, I mentioned the emperor's rice. That's black rice. I love black rice. Have you ever eaten black rice? I eat it instead of white rice now because it has a lower glycemic index, and it's really good. You can't fuck it up. Like when you cook it, it won't get soggy like white rice. Anyway, black rice, the emperor's rice. It is called the emperor's rice because in ancient Asia, only the emperor and the ruling class were able to eat this rice. It has to be cultivated a little bit differently, which made it a little bit more rare and made it more expensive. Okay, the same is true today. It's very expensive compared to white rice. You want to give your ancestors things like that because that rice it's expensive because it's special. because it's full of antioxidants, because it has a lower glycemic index, because it has all kinds of trace minerals in it, iron, etc. And so that is just an example of how the correspondence of things actually tell what it is that they do. Does that make sense? So this emperor's rice is expensive, therefore it's valuable, and that's something that you would want to make as an offering to your ancestors, as opposed to oodles of noodles or white rice that's 99 cents that you bought at Dollar General.
Spring water is better than tap water and purified water for your ancestors. In order to help put this in perspective, that, you know, the value that we ascribe as human beings to the products that we actually use and consume, that value translates over into the spirit world, because the universe is intelligent, so we're not ascribing these prices arbitrarily
For no reason.
right. That black rice is going to be more valuable.
It's usually very telling. You know, cinnamon has been expensive since the beginning of time. Wars were fought over spices. You get what I'm saying? So there's a reason why we use cinnamon as a prosperity herb. We dress our candles, we sprinkle our candles with cinnamon, because cinnamon vibrates high, and it vibrates in alignment with abundance and prosperity. Everything, it all relates.
Okay. Well, let's see. Do we have
You can put cinnamon sticks on your ancestor altar. And actually, cinnamon sticks can be a permanent fixture on your ancestor altar. I would leave them on there for like a year. They do go stale. But as long as they're smelling good. You can also clean your ancestor altar and sweep around it with a cinnamon broom. And you can buy those cinnamon brooms in Kroger, especially around Christmas time. Just bringing that prosperity into the mix.
Damn.
You know?
Well, the only thing that I can tell y'all about y'all ancestral altar is keep a cauldron on it, or a small bowl or something, where you mix your herbs. Mix up the herbs that you want to use. Like if you're going to make a money spill, get you some cinnamon, some basil, mix a little bit of rum in it, gold. So what is the 24 karat gold dust?
Yeah, gold dust, gold flakes, 22 karat.
Some comfrey and Osiris root, and mix it all together. Leave it on your altar to charge. Leave it in some olive oil as well. Leave it in some olive oil. Pray over the olive oil. Leave it there, and in that cauldron, dress your candles every week using that, or anoint your cinnamon broom in it. So yeah, those are some of our witchy tips.
For working with the ancestors. And you know what, guys? Once you develop that connection, once you start actually working with your ancestors and not just changing out the water, you will actually begin to hear from them. People are going to say, oh, am I going to hear voices in my ears or whatever? It's different for every person, but you should be able to intuitively receive messages from your ancestors. You may walk past the altar one day and you may hear, grits. Maybe you have an ancestor that wants an offering of grits. 0 nutritional value, high carb, whatever. But I'm just saying, your ancestors will begin to tell you what they want.
See, I'm glad you made that point, because when working with your ancestors means that you should be able to hear them at all times. If you're walking in a grocery store, if for example, I tell you, give your ancestors some fruit and some rum, and you're like, it's a year later, you're like, what else do my ancestors need? You shouldn't be asking me that, because the fruit and the rum regimen that I gave you was based
to put you on the path to hear.
Exactly, and it's everybody's ancestors want fruit and rum.
Also, I'm hearing right now, you guys, if there's any of you out here who are working with your ancestors and you've been trying to get things to move in a positive direction for you financially, they want you to get they want you to get 3 oranges, and they want you to buy clove, and they want you to put 11 cloves, to stick the cloves in each one of the oranges for a total number of 33 cloves. So 11 in each one of the 3 oranges, and set that on your altar. That's what they said.
Okay. And so if you're walking in a grocery store, you should be able to walk through the grocery store and say, what do my ancestors need? And you pick up an apple and you're like, wait, they don't want an apple. They want this orange. They want this coconut.
Doesn't it happen just like that?
It happens exactly like that.
Just like that.
It should be.
Because you walk in there and have in your mind that you're going to buy a pound of pecans, and they be like, no. You go to get the pecans, and it's like, that's not what they want.
And they will sometimes, sometimes will want oodles and noodles and Twizzlers.
Yeah, it's true.
But sometimes the things that they want, they're trying to see if you're going to get it in order to test your obedience to them. And then
that's a whole nother segment. Yes.
Now, trust your intuition. Make sure y'all turn. That's what we're gonna have to talk about. Trust your intuition.
Right.
Okay, so let's take a couple more questions and then just close the show out.
I'm gonna go make us another drink.
Okay, and then we'll do the. You want to do a
you
second
can
show?
Yeah, we can. You can read the questions, and I'll be right back.
All right. So, what questions do you all have for us? No dumb questions. Yes, I'm going to call out dumb questions, but I'm not going to call out the person that asked the question.
Did they understand those instructions, and does anybody find that useful?
Everyone finds those instructions useful. I mean, if you didn't get it, guess what? You got to log on to Patreon and watch the video. But no, they do. It was very self-explanatory.
Yeah.
So if you got a cell phone, you can afford fruit. Absolutely. If you have a cell phone, you can afford fruit. If you get your hair done twice a month, you can afford to get a psychic reading with me. If you get your nails done twice a week, you can afford to get a psychic reading with me. Hey, you can afford to pay for spiritual work. You can go to Dollar Tree and set up your ancestral altar for just $8. Just $8. A little under $8, you can set up an ancestral altar at Dollar Tree. All right, so does it matter where you really set your altar up? Absolutely, it matters. Do not set your altar, where you set your altar up depends on you. There's no right or wrong place to set it up. My preference would be the eastern side of your home. I set mine up in my sunroom because it is the eastern side of my home. The entire sunroom itself is nothing but a spiritual workshop. It's a mini botanica based out of Fifth Eye Psychics. And so, that being said, maybe you want to set your altar up in your bedroom because you want to have a personal connection to them. Maybe you want to set your altar up in your closet because you want to experience something that's more paranormal, because you want to step into the darker side of things, the Scorpio energy, or you want to play in the underworld. You want to set your altar up in your living room, or you want to set it up in your kitchen, or you want to set your altar up near your door because you want to bring in more money, or you want to offer yourself some protection. There's different types of altars as well. Prosperity altars, love altars.
Altars for deity. And then you know what, you guys, this is just like the white candle. You can do whatever you want to do. You can power a thing and command it to behave and respond to your will. And so you can put your altar wherever you want. And since this is kind of a 101 introduction type class, I'm going to just urge you to meditate on it and do what you feel comfortable. Now, when you're talking about a particular tradition, or if you have been initiated into a particular practice or tradition, then sometimes there are rules. Like in Ifa, our altars are on the ground. They have to be on the floor. And there are a lot of restrictions about where you can place particular deity. Some can't go next to others. Some can't be in certain environments. You wouldn't want to have, your ancestor altar in your bedroom because that's where you might engage in intimate acts, and that would be disrespectful to them. Also, there's a certain vulnerability that comes with that, and you open yourself up to spirits, and you wouldn't want to do that. So initially, I would say do what feels right, but as you grow and learn and latch on to a particular tradition, then you'll learn the tried and true reasoning behind how to do certain things.
And there you have it. So I think we should close the show out and then just start with our next one.
Okay. All
right. Well, with that being said, how can people get in contact with you?
You can find me on We the Three at Instagram, and we will be launching a website, YouTube channel, and some other things very shortly. So in the meantime, look for me there, or you can also contact me through Black Spectrum Network.
You sure can, and I will give you her contact information.
Yes.
All right. I want to thank you all so much for tuning in. This has been a wonderful show. Thank you all for tuning in to Sophisticated Sunday with me and my friend Osun Funke, where we've taught you all about white candles, working with your ancestors, working with deities, dressing your candles, blessing your candles, feeding your ancestors. We've talked to you all about a lot. Okay? We've given you all a lot of information. So with that being said, thank you all for tuning in, and we'll catch you all next week. Bye.
Bye.
So fuel my fire, take me higher, I'll be your liar too. Cause when we're here, there's nothing better than the skyline view. Ooh. I love this skyline view.